And like I just said yesterday, today we're going to focus our attention on networking. Networking, I almost hate I don't know why I'm embarrassed to say this because I know some people hate networking because they think of it as a white collar thing, like, oh, I work in a business or I'm in sales or maybe I'm an attorney or something. And so people think of networking as, being on the golf course or things like that. And, they don't think that they have to do it in certain fields. But, it's really the opposite, right? Networking is basically connecting to people in your industry. And that's something we all have to do, right? So it's not, you don't have to make a lot of friends. It's not like you have to go golfing, but it will be important for you to know people. Yesterday, I said that, a lot of people get their jobs from networking. Can anybody guess the statistic on how many jobs are filled from networking? How many people think 50% or more jobs are filled from networking? Give me a thumbs up if you think 50% or more of jobs are filled just from people that they know. You may be surprised that the statistic is even higher than that. 70% of jobs are filled from networking. What does that mean? That means that of all the job opportunities that are out there, you don't even see 70% of them because they've been filled already by people that they know. Whether it's a recruiter that already has your resume, it's a company that needed to fill a position, so they just called up somebody that they knew, or they knew someone that turned in a resume. And it never even makes it to Indeed.com or LinkedIn or anything like that. Or even if it does make it there, it's somebody knows somebody that knows somebody and they fill the position. I want you to understand how important it is to get to know people in your industry, right? You want to hear about a job before it hits the market because once it hits the market, everyone is going to be interested in that job if they're looking, right? So you want to be aware of a job before it. Has anyone ever been told of a job opportunity? Maybe you've gotten a job opportunity from someone that you know from networking. Anybody, has that ever happened to any of us? I got this job from networking. Yeah, I worked somewhere with another educator. The person had a position. We were on LinkedIn together. She put it out there. I hit the person up, and there you go. Just that simple. From someone that you know. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised because people, I mean, let's face it, people like to work with people that they know, or put yourself in the hiring person's shoes. If you already work with someone and they give you a referral, what's the likelihood that you're probably going to go with that referral as opposed to a stranger? This is business, it's not personal. So listen, if somebody that I work with already and I trust them and I like them and they give me a referral, and I'm thinking, okay, well, if they're cool with that person, then the person must be decent. And I don't have to pay for advertisement. I don't have to go to Indeed.com and get 500 resumes. I can just bring this person in. I'm going to do it. I've done it because, businesses are in the business of making money. They're not in the business of interviewing. So they want to minimize that interviewing process as much as possible, even though I know we feel as if, they take so long during the interview process. And I will tell you, sometimes it has nothing to do with the interview process. It has everything to do with the people are just busy And like I said before, interviewing is not part of their job, right? If you're a manager, yes, you have to fill positions, but you don't get extra time to carve out from your duties to interview. You got to work it in, you got to fit it in. So sometimes you're waiting around because the company or the person just hasn't had time to interview. They hate going through that process. As much as you hate it, they hate it as well. So if someone can refer someone, of course they're going to go for that person. So it does you a disservice to not get to know people. And then here's another statistic. Here's another statistic. Of the recruiters that do use LinkedIn and things of that sort, 87% of them, 87% of them find their job applicants from there. I want you to hear that clearly. So recruiters, 87% of them use job boards to find people. You are doing yourself a disservice if you do not go on to get your resumes on Indeed, if you don't make them public so people can look at them, if you're not on LinkedIn, which right now is still the premier place to find a job, you are doing yourself a disservice. So when they do use it, you already know what's going to happen because they know that they are going to receive multiple hundreds, sometimes even 500, 600 applications for a job. They are going to use ATS systems. Of the 400 or 500 people that apply for that job, 300 of them could be qualified. Could be. But who's going to get, sometimes it's not even about who has the best resume. Sometimes it's about who got there first. Let's start there, right? Sometimes it's who got their resume in first. Sometimes it's who has the best keywords on their resume. It doesn't necessarily have to do with them hiring the best person or the most qualified. So in addition to you being on these sites, you have to be active. You have to be very, very proactive. If you're not on there, I always tell people the best time to look is on Sunday night because that's when they're dropping all the new jobs. Sunday night. Most times by Friday, they're closing them out. So you have to be diligent. You want to be the first couple of applicants if you can, right? That's how diligent you have to be, right? So you have to set up your parameters on Indeed and LinkedIn and all these other places so that you can be notified as soon as something comes out. You don't want to be the 400th resume that they receive. And you may say, well, why do they even allow that many resumes? You'd be surprised. People apply for jobs all over, because sometimes people are desperate, and they're willing to travel or they're willing to relocate to get employed, so you're not just up against those in your community, right? And the company may only have the advertisement out for 3 days and they still can get 400 applicants. Like, you'd be surprised, right? So it behooves you to be very, active when you do use those job boards so that you can be the few. Where can you network? I'm saying everywhere. I'm just going to say everywhere. You should always be thinking of networking no matter where you go. I don't care if you're going to the movie theater. If you bump into someone, someone, let someone know what you're doing. Make sure you connect with them on LinkedIn and Indeed.com. Networking is the name of the game. Who you know is the name of the game. I'm sure we've heard that before, right? Sometimes it's not just about what you know, but it's all about who you know. We probably have always thought of that term in terms of like, oh, do you know someone important? But that's not what it is. Is, do you know someone, period? Like, who knows you, right? Who you know means how many people do you know? How many people can you reach out to? How many people can you connect with so that, when an opportunity arises, they know you, they think of you. Sometimes it can be as simple as someone remembering that you're looking for a job, right? You could just have a conversation with, one of you two could be talking. Daniel's talking to Desiree, Jamie's talking to Amy, whomever. And you remember the person has said, yeah, you know what? Next month, I'm going to be looking for a job in XYZ. This person goes on about their business and they happen to have a cousin that happens to be part of your industry. And they say, yeah, man, we're going to be opening up this new position. 9 times out of 10, what are you going to say? You're going to be like, oh my God, yeah, I have a coworker, or I have a friend, or I have someone I went to school with that's looking for that. See how easy that is? That person is not going to lose any sleep by referring you. But if they don't know you're looking, how do they know to refer you? That's all networking is. Letting people know what it is that you're doing and staying connected, right? So try to connect everywhere, connect with recruiters, send them your resume. LinkedIn has a lot of groups that you can be a part of, job fairs, funny enough, job fairs are not so much about getting a job as it is about networking. Because most times when you go to a job fair, they're like, just fill out an application on our website. You're like, what, really? So a lot of times it's just about going there, meeting the people face to face, networking, seeing what's happening, and connecting with people. Those what the job fairs are nowadays. Of course, alumni associations or any other group that you can be a part of, right? Like I said before, what is it? It's just talking to people, making relationships that could lead to potential job opportunities. We all do it in corporate America. That's what we do. I'm just going to tell you, if you say, I'm not part of corporate America. Yes, you are. If you work for a company, you're part of corporate America. I don't care if you're in a trade. That trade is part of a company. That's corporate America, right? So you have to network. A professional network is nothing more than anybody that could support you in your career or your business. One of the reasons why we wanted you to practice doing informational interviewing is so you can help to build your network. Because you may say, well, how in the world do I build a network? What does that even mean? Well, one strategy is just to get advice from people. Y'all know people love to give you advice. Do they not? All you have to say is, hey, can I ask you a question? Hey, can I run something past you? You can go on to LinkedIn all day long, link up with complete strangers, find a reason to connect with them, and you can physically DM them. This is not social, this is not Instagram where you're trying to, deal with someone romantically. In LinkedIn, you are expected to get contacts. I get connects all the time on LinkedIn, and most of them I connect with because it's business. Someone DMs me and say, hey, I have a quick question about something. It's business. Nobody minds that. People like that because the same way you're building your network, they're trying to build theirs. So it's a win-win situation. And I'm telling you, these connections, even with complete strangers, can help you secure your next job, your next client, or whatever it is you're seeking to do, right? The only thing that we tell you is that make sure that there is some type of reciprocation, people. Do not reach out to people only when you want something. I have a very large network on LinkedIn. I have people that I've worked with back 20 years. When they post stuff, you know how people do on social media, even on LinkedIn, people post stuff. They got a new job, their company's doing an event, there's a webinar. Make sure you just say, oh, good job. Make a few comments here or there. Why? Because you want to stay top of people's mind. You want your network to feel connected to you, just like you're connected to them. So when something pops off, you can be remembered, right? You don't want to just reach out to people when you need something. Part of being a professional network, kind of like building a friendship, but not so intimate, is that there's a little bit of give and take, right? So you want to stay engaged with them. If you see someone in your network is, sending in some information, just say, oh, thank you so much for the information. Just stay a little bit connected, right? Because you don't want the person to feel like you're not a resource. The same way that they're a resource to you, you want to be a resource to them. If your company is posting something or your company has a new position, make sure you put it out there, right? You also want to be a resource. That's how you build those relationships. These relationships will evolve over time. Maybe your network now, maybe you worked in the health industry and now you're moving into trades. So you may have a lot of health people in your network, whether you're online or not. And that will change. If you go into trades, clearly some of that will fall off. I say still stay connected. Like I said, I'm still connected to people from 20 years back because you never know, right? But how can you start to build your network if you don't have one? Right here. I know you guys have heard of companies that have started in college. Give me a thumbs up if you've heard of one major company that has started from college. There's so many of them. Like who? Apple, Meta, Google, Amazon, all of them started in college or right out of college with people that they know. This is the place where you have like-minded people. Where else are you going to go and have a room full of welders, a room full of VA people, a room full of HVAC? That's not your normal day life, right? And these are the people that actually have something in common with you because you guys are all thinking the same way. This is where you find like-minded people in school. This is where you should connect. Connect with your professors, connect with me. If anybody goes on my LinkedIn and you connect with me, you'll see I have hundreds of students that have taken this class that are all connected to me. Why is that important? When one of my students or former students say, hey, I got a position, you're connected to me. You hit me up and say, hey, Miss Taylor, I saw there was a student that you had 2 years ago that has a position. Can you send them my resume or can you connect me? What do you think I'm going to say? Of course, absolutely. Hey, Samantha, I have this student that's also went to Southern Tech. She wants to pass along your resume. Look how easy that is. If you don't ask, you don't get, right? Network with people, my friends. If you don't do anything else, when you set up that LinkedIn account, connect to the people in your classroom. I know you see their names every day, whether they're in your program or not. Connections is key. So, can you do other types of networking besides LinkedIn? Absolutely. If there's an opportunity for you to do face to face, you know, face to face is always going to be preferable, right? Because people get to see you, they get to feel your energy. You know, maybe you can even go out together, they can invite you to other events. So, face to face networking is always going to be good. You know, if you have a business card when you do face to face networking, that's good. If you work for somebody and you have an opportunity to do a business, you have a business card, that's great. Some people make their own business cards, especially if they're running their own business or maybe your company doesn't have business cards. I see people make their own. You know, it's not as common for somebody to say, hey, give me your phone and here's my number. Like, what are you going to put the number on, you know, on a piece of paper? Most business people have business cards. That's still a thing. And you can give somebody your business card, right? Now, if you're doing it online, you don't have to worry about that. But if you're in person, yeah, you want to have some type of business card to give people, right? Are there different, you know, proper ways to be when you're online? We call it networking etiquette. Yes, right. What is etiquette? Etiquette is having good manners. There are things that you should not do even when you are networking with people online. And I'm going to tell you one of them. Do not be a stalker when you are networking with people. I had when I used to work at another college, I was over a program and I was responsible for hiring. And I was on LinkedIn and I had this person that I don't know how she found me, but she connected with me. Of course, I connected with her. She was a professor and I had a position and I must have posted it on LinkedIn. I can't remember, but this person gave me her resume and I, you know, her resume along with however many others I had. And I looked at her resume, you know, she didn't have the qualifications that I was looking for, but right after she gave me her resume, she started stalking me. have you looked at my resume yet? And it wasn't even like nice stalking. It was like, I know I'm qualified, so when do I start? I'm like, whoa, okay, that's interesting. Well, you and 30 other people are also qualified, but now you're nuts, so you just put yourself down a peg, and I was a little taken aback that, someone would even write that, because she like wrote it to me in a message, like, I know I'm qualified for this position. I have everything you're looking for, and I haven't heard from you. Like, why? So of course I had to be like, let her down easy, but also let her know, like, we have a lot of great qualified candidates. And, I wasn't going to pick her because she was too far from the place anyway, which, I was like, I think she was in Miami somewhere. And I'm like, we're in Orlando. What are you doing? No, right? So it just didn't make sense. But, the fact that she just felt like this was supposed to be her job, I was like, oh, wow, that's a little crazy, right? You don't want to be that guy, right? So don't be the crazy person. Like, I get it. How many of us have seen jobs that we felt were perfect for us? We thought this is a perfect job for me. There's probably a lot of things you thought was perfect for you, right? But it doesn't mean you're the only person. If you've seen that job and you think, oh my God, it's perfect for me, I fit the bill, there's probably 10 other people that fall within that same category. So you have to have a little bit of eat some humble pie when you are looking for jobs, and just know, until someone offers you a job, it's not your job, right? You can't just will the job. Listen, I get it. I've seen so many jobs. I'm like, okay, that is me. I have this. I have everything that they're looking for. But maybe someone else also had everything that they were looking for. And they may have had something even more than I had. So you never know, right? So, another thing that you want to pay attention to when you are in person is how you dress. Don't arrive late. Arriving late at business functions, unless you just have a busy meeting, is not a good look, right? People kind of give you the side when you don't show up on time, because this is a business environment. People expect you to kind of be on time, right? They expect you to be professional, to dress professional, handshakes, eye contact, all that good stuff, right? Offering your business cards. If someone talks to you and you say you're going to follow up with people. That is a big thing in business. If you say you're going to do something, do it. People will judge you if you don't do what you say you're going to do. You can't be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to pass your information along. Just give me your email and then we'll hook up. And then you don't hook up with the person, right? Or you've taken the time of this person for the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and they're offering you up great advice. You have their card and you don't follow up and say thank you. Like, people remember that stuff, right? First impression is a lasting impression. And like I've said before, you guys are going into industries, so your world is going to become very small. If you're not considering moving abroad, like if you just live in South Florida or you live in, Central Florida, and you don't plan on moving, your sphere of influence is even smaller. So you're going to have to be even more careful if you're saying, okay, I'm going to build my career here in Central Florida and I have no, intentions of moving abroad or moving anywhere. Then you may have a handful of companies that you can work for in your lifetime. You need to make sure that your first impression is a good impression, and that you are, maintaining positive relationships and, good reputations at those companies. I know we probably all know someone that who has a bad reputation for whatever. Anybody ever know someone? I know I had a friend, I'm going to put it out there. This person was an educator, and she burned through anybody. Okay, right? We know that person, right? Burned through, I think she had taught at probably 15 schools, 15 schools. So everybody knew her and she knew all the schools, but she just had this reputation. I'm a great teacher, but personality, another story, right? Like, if you wanted to learn something, she was in the healthcare industry, great teacher, very good at what she did, but she was just this very overly militant, aggressive person. and she burned a lot of bridges. Like, you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be the guy that you can't even apply to a job because they see your name and run in the other direction. Right now, you have to leave town. Right. Remember, your industry is going to be very, very small, though, and especially if you stay in it for a long time. Right, we talked about online networking, and the same thing I talked about briefly with online etiquette. Don't blow up people's spot. Don't blow up their DMs. Don't be negative. You know, why haven't you reached out to me? I know I'm qualified. Yeah, don't be that guy, right? Don't do that. Follow etiquette. If someone reaches out to you, respond back to them. You never know. Sometimes, someone may have an odd exchange with you online, and then a year later, you can apply for their job. And you're like, why do I remember that name? What is it about this person's name? And then they realize, oh, they had a negative encounter with you. Like, you don't want that drama, right? We see all this stuff on TV. It's a real thing, right? So, this is why we want you to do your LinkedIn account, right? I think I've beat that horse enough to tell you why it is important for you to set up some type of LinkedIn account. And that is what we want you to do. Who already has a LinkedIn account? Who has a LinkedIn account? If you have a LinkedIn account, this assignment is very easy for you. All you have to do is copy and paste your URL into the assignment. And let me make sure, pretty sure, I'm not pretty sure, this assignment is today. We moved some stuff around because of the holiday. Let me see if this, I think it is, but let me just double check. So for today, so I want to show you guys what I want from you. My internet's moving so slow. Okay, so we're not going to do it today. We're going to do it tomorrow. Yeah. So we'll do our LinkedIn profile tomorrow. But today you're going to be talking about building a professional network. Hopefully I remind myself tomorrow that when you do your LinkedIn profiles, and you can do it early. Remember, all the assignments are open, so you can turn it in today if you want. All you have to do is grab that LinkedIn profile, that LinkedIn URL, but I'll show you how to do that tomorrow. Right. But today you're going to be talking about your professional network and why it's important to have one. Now that I've explained to you why it's important, right? But when you do your LinkedIn profile, and I'm going to come back to this piece tomorrow because I want to make sure you understand all the different sections that you need to have in your LinkedIn account when you do it. All right. So we'll come back to that tomorrow. Here's your participation question for today. Here's what I want to know. I want to know, does a company's reputation influence whether you would take the job or not? If they're ethical or not, would that be an issue for you? Or would it be like, man, money is money? Just answer the question in a complete sentence. Just want to know, how would a company's reputation affect whether you would take the job or not? I'm going to tell you, I was, for those of you that may not know, I think I may have mentioned it a few times, but I was a government contractor. Y'all know what happened to us, right? Everybody heard about what happened to us, the government contractors, how we lost our jobs. New administration canceled all the contracts. It wasn't just thousands and thousands of people. And I'm not even talking about the ones that, work in DC. A lot of people, I think we think about that. We think about, oh, those people that work in DC, but we don't really think about all the contractors that are also working for the government. Anybody ever heard of Deloitte? You guys heard of Deloitte, right? Major top 4 contractor. Well, I worked for Deloitte with them, and they lost all their federal contracts too. So they got rid of their whole federal division. I also worked for another company, federal contractor consultant. They lost all their contracts too because of the new administration. They had to get rid of all their contractors as well. So when people, talk about what's happening now, and I know you guys are seeing it in the news, all this drama, anybody know someone that's lost their job here recently, past 6 months? Maybe it's directly or indirectly with the drama. Oh, if y'all don't, that's very good. That's actually encouraging. No one's ever heard of someone that lost their job, but a lot of people lost their jobs. And I think that one of the reasons why the job market is on the decline from what you hear in the news is because people don't think about all the subcontract work that also goes out. But um, I was going to work for the USPTO office. I'm actually um, preparing to be a patent attorney. That's, people that do, helps you get your inventions, whatever, licensed or whatever. And now I'm like, I'm not working for any federal government right now. I wouldn't dare work for the federal government right now. First of all the positions, they're like, you got to go to Virginia, you can't have a job anyway. So there's that, right? I'm not moving to DC or Virginia. But right now, I would not. No way. My feelings are hurt. I'm a military person too. Y'all saw how they did us veterans. I'm upset about that. But so I wouldn't trust it. There's certain companies. I mean, look at what's happening with Meta. You guys, I don't know if you follow that, but just they get rid of people, bring them back, get rid of people, bring them back. I think Amazon's very similar with that. Like, I mean, I don't know. So a company's reputation definitely would affect whether I would work for them or not. But some other people like, man, I'm just gonna I'll take my chances, right? All right, that is your question for today, guys. Remember to check. You have actually two assignments. You have two other assignments outside this participation question today. So make sure that you are paying attention to that. One is building online presence, and the other one is your professional network. So make sure that you are paying attention to those two things today. All right. All right, my friends, if you don't have any other questions, please remember tomorrow is our last day. On Friday, now make this announcement tomorrow too. All of week 4 will open. That means your final will open on Friday. Next week is a very, very short week. Class ends on Thursday. I will be saying that for the next couple of days. Class ends on Thursday, so you need to ensure that anything that you have outstanding, you get it done. Please remind your campuses to give you your mock interview sheets. I've had one or two come to me in my email. They should not be sending it to me via email. They should be giving it to you because you need to upload it into your assignment, and that goes for your resumes as well. So please make sure you are getting your resumes and your mock interview results sheet from Career Services so that you can upload it into your assignments. All right. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I will see you back here tomorrow.